call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. Nathan, would you take the roll, please?
Councilmember McPherson?
Here.
Councilmember Biggs?
Here.
Councilmember Laraway?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
Yes.
Mayor Steer?
Here. And if you'll join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item is the consent agenda. Questions, comments, anything you want pulled for discussion?
Yeah. I move we approve the consent agenda as published.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion on that motion? Nathan, would you poll the council, please?
Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
Yes.
And that motion carries. That takes us to public comments. I had Michael Rocco sign in. Is there anybody else who wishes to address the council that didn't get a chance to sign in? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. I see on the agenda that there's going to be a request for $50,000.
Mr. Rocco, can you say your
Twelve,
name and
thank you.
address? Thank you.
1286 East Fort Erie Street in Kuna, Idaho 83634, about the $50,000 request for a new motorcycle for the police. And so I have some questions for the City Council. One, can the city explain whether insurance has been applied towards the damaged police motorcycle? And if so, how much of the replacement cost insurance will cover versus what will come from city funds? Since the city contracts with the Ada County Sheriff's Office for policing services, why is the city of Kuna responsible for the full motorcycle replacement rather than the Sheriff's Office? What was the purchase price of the Harley-Davidson Electroglide motorcycle bought in 2023? And how does that compare with the current $50,000 replacement request? Can council provide a breakdown of what makes up the $50,000 replacement cost? For example, the base motorcycle, police equipment outfitting, technology, decals, and administrative costs. Does the city have a policy for how police vehicles, including motorcycles, are insured, depreciated, and replaced? And is there a reserve fund for these type of losses? And will the city review whether it's more cost-effective to purchase or lease future motorcycles or to insure them differently to limit unexpected costs like this in the future? Thank you.
Well, I can go ahead and answer a little bit of that while you're there. So the funding for these motorcycles came from a SAFER grant. And in order to keep that SAFER grant, it had to be something that we could keep, we had to make it continue, right? So the city bought the motorcycles. They had to be American-made motorcycles, which is why we bought Harley-Davidson. In this case, we're asking for the contingency request because the amount of time it takes to get the motorcycle. They are insured, and we will get insurance for that. So we don't know exactly what that money looks like yet, but once we get it, it'll come out of the, that'll reduce that amount. It'll go back into the general fund for that, so.
So the $50,000 is a contingency request then? That
Yeah.
you're not anticipating using?
That's simply to get the motorcycle coming because we need to get that ordered or it'll be way longer to get it
Sure,
here,
got it.
so.
Thanks for answering that.
And Mayor, if I may, we are going to expand on that more on that item when it comes up.
Yeah. Okay. And that was all I had signed up for that. Is there anybody else who wants to talk to council? Okay, thank you. All right, that takes us to case number 2501ZC, Warner Buckner City of Kuna rezone, and that's going to be Marina Lundy.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. For the record, Marina Lundy, Planner, Kuna Development Services Department. The application before you this evening requests rezone approval for 3 parcels located at 700 North Meridian Road, which are approximately 75.86 acres, currently zoned agriculture. The site is located at the intersection of Meridian Road and Meadowview Road. The site plan available within the application materials is purely conceptual and subject to change. If the rezone is approved, the applicant must return in the future for further land use approvals. Staff has reviewed the proposed rezone application for compliance with CUNA City Code, Idaho statutes, and the CUNA Comprehensive Plan. And should the council approve the application, staff recommends the applicant be subject to the proposed recommended conditions as outlined in the staff report. I'll be here for any questions you have about the application, and Jess with Economic Development is here tonight as the project representative.
Okay, thank you. Did anybody have any questions for Maria at this point?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Jessica?
Sorry. Hi. Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record, Jessica Hall, Economic and Development Services Specialist, 751 West 4th Street, CUNA, 83634. So tonight before you is a rezone application of 3 parcels to the C2 zone, which meets the future land use map that was recently adopted after our ad hoc committee. This application is strictly for the rezone. No partnerships have been entered into at this time, and any future subdivision or design review applications would proceed through the required application and noticing processes. I can answer any questions you may have.
Okay, questions for Jessica?
Go ahead.
Jessica, so when you say no partnerships, this is the first time I'm formally seeing this. I've read about it in Boise Dev, where it gives the implication that there is a partnership. So I guess that's, I don't know, I might expand on that in a second, but specifically on page 141, the conceptual design is a little blurry. I can kind of make out the baseball field, but I can't make out what the rest of it's supposed to be. I'd be curious to see what that is. There are a lot of people with opinions on this because I've seen this all over social media, but nobody's approached me specifically about anything, so I can't really answer any questions. But I am curious if we can go over that conceptual design. And again, when you mention partnerships, you're making the presentation, so me being simple, I would think that there is something behind it, so.
Okay.
So baseball fields makes sense, softball, I guess. The upper left, all on that other side, and I obviously can see what parking is. So what are those others? And then the upper right, that big complex, it's all blurry.
Okay. Councilmember Biggs, so the applicant in his conceptual plan had represented a possibility of 6 baseball fields that could also be relined for field hockey, soccer, things of that nature. They could also be reduced to offer for t-ball. On the far right-hand side is proposed RV parking strictly for those coming to attend any kind of tournament event that might be going on. The large building on the upper right-hand side, that is a proposed indoor-outdoor facility that would boast an indoor family area with possible bowling lanes, family fun center. It would have space for a physical therapist. It could have a bar and grill involved. It would have in the basketball courts that could be converted to volleyball courts. The applicant has gotten feedback from the community about possibly adding an ice rink to it in the future, possibly adding a pool to it in the future. And then everything on the left-hand side that goes from south to north, that is commercial. There is anything that's allowed in a C2 could go there if the user meets the requirements of the city. They have in there showing maybe a gas station, maybe a hotel, maybe some restaurants, maybe some retail. That's just kind of throwing an idea out there of what fits in a C2 zone.
And so there will be no influence on CUNA City Parks, will not be part of this?
No, they will not be.
No management, no, okay.
No, that'll be completely self-sufficient facility. They've talked with the KYSBA about making sure that they have a schedule for all their teams to see if they can make it to where there's a field available at all times. It's in the very beginning concept plan. In regards to a partnership, the original applicant, David with True Grit Youth Sports, he misquoted information. He has since been set straight in the fact that until there is a contract that has been reviewed by our attorney and reviewed by council and approved, there is no partnership whatsoever.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess I'm not gonna comment further on the conceptual design because it is all, there's things I also kind of would wonder about, that would be in there, but we're not even close to that stage yet, so
Yes.
I won't belabor you.
I have a question.
Yes, Councilmember Bruce.
It seems like we're kind of putting the cart before the horse. We should probably figure out what we want to do with that land as a city, whether we want to do a partnership or we want to sell it or something, but doesn't that seem like this is a little premature for what we would do? But rezoning it prior to having some type of agreement in place?
Councilmember Bruce, we have not put an agreement in place per direction of our attorney because at the time and currently at this time, the applicant is looking for funds for sponsorships to actually construct the facility. So until there's something that could be put there, we didn't want to enter into a partnership or a contract. Now with the property, Cunas City parcel, splits these two parcels in half. So for them to fit even this concept, all three of those parcels would have to be joined together to fit that. So in conversation, because the ground has not been developed, there's been multiple ideas thrown around in the past, but because the parcel hasn't been developed or used, and this was something that would support our community and our youth, we decided that we would go ahead and enter into a rezone application, especially because if it is rezoned to a C2, regardless if this is built or not, that would meet our future land use map and make it available for additional commercial to come forward.
And who agreed upon going into this application? Who was it when you say we agreed?
It's True Grit Youth Sports in the city of Cuna.
So someone from the city agreed to have it rezoned?
Correct.
Question,
Yes.
how long is this
Councilmember Laird.
marriage?
How long is this marriage?
Yeah, how long is this partnership? Because we're not giving up the land.
No, sir. So, again, there is no partnership at this time. Our marriage, as you are explaining it, would end once a subdivision plat was submitted because that would change the boundaries of our parcel. So we're not giving up the land. We would still maintain ownership, and that is something that would come into a agreement later, what that would look like, you know.
But are we talking 5 years?
I could not tell you until the gentleman has his funding in place.
Mark,
If
yes.
I might, Mark Bybee, City Attorney. So I just wanted to weigh in this a little bit. As far as the rezone coming now, I shared some of the questions that you guys have with Jessica about, you know, why, kind of the cart before the horse. Councilman Bruce, I had a similar question. My understanding, talking with Jessica, is part of it is he's to essentially get his funding, he's needing to show a ready lot or ready zoning designation, essentially. Like without this, it's difficult to raise the funding. And so that was kind of that was part of the motivation is why the city was willing to tolerate consideration of a rezone before a full-fledged agreement's in place, or even really any agreements in place, because it's for him to be able to see, the other applicant to be able to see basically, can I generate the funding to make this a reality, and having the zoning designation is something that, from what was reported to me, apparently helps in that endeavor. Now I will say I share the same concerns, and I'm okay being on record for this, that what my major question is, what is the city getting from this agreement? You know, so if the city were to give the 20 acres, what is the city going to receive in return? Okay, the sports complex may be developed, but is it complete private ownership? Is it private enterprise? Is it private revenue? Is there some use guarantee for the city? There's a lot of these types of questions that before a plat proposal would come forward, that I would be pushing on staff, as these have to be answered. There has to be something formalized, because I will agree this is a very cool concept for the city. It has a lot of potential, but there are a lot of unanswered questions. And so if the rezone were to go forward, it's my understanding it helps with this revenue, generation component that the applicant's trying to accomplish, that's totally his, side to attempt to accomplish. But the agreement, a lot needs to be sorted out, because it's just an idea right now.
And if I may.
Yes,
Yeah, but, and our legislative authority really is that annexation or rezone. So once we've kind of rezoned it to that, in our prior, you know, discussions on land use, before, once we rezone it, we're kind of handcuffed once they have an agreement in place, right? Or,
It's a fair question, Councilman Bruce. The difference here is this is your land. The city owns this. It's not just city within the jurisdiction that's owned by somebody else. The city owns it. And so they don't have our approval or consent to go forward with any kind of plating application. So if they attempted to, you know, okay, we're saying, we'll or entertain a rezone of our land right now, but if you want to come forward later with a plat application, it's our land still, and it's not going to go forward without our consent to that plat application. And so it is unique in that aspect that the city owns this land. It's not somebody else's. It is the city land. There are other parcels that are not the city land, right? And so those, are those part of this application, Jess, or just a city parcel?
It's all three. It's the
It's all
two
three.
Warner Buckner and then the city of Cuna.
Okay. And so the city parcel, that's the one that they're absolutely gonna have to get our consent to pursue any type of subdivision application because it's ours.
Have there been any overtures from Warner Buckner trying to buy this from the city?
Not that I'm aware of, Councilmember Biggs.
is the applicant here to present?
David is here.
Did he want to present?
Would you have anything to add? Come on down. State your name and address for it.
My name is David McMenemy. My address is 880 East Stormy Drive, Meridian, Idaho.
Okay, anybody have questions for David?
I'll ask, expand on what Mark was talking about. Are there, let's say this does go through, CUNA Optimus football, CUNA youth or baseball, basketball, those leagues, are we gonna have to, they're gonna have to rent, the facilities from you?
There'll be some sort of rental fee, yes. This is set up as a nonprofit. It will need to be self-sustaining as a nonprofit. We do have plans to, you know, have a separate company that owns pieces of the front development that would then feed back into the nonprofit to help it in any down years. And hopefully that would offset a lot of these fees so we don't have to charge very high fees for the field rentals. We are totally open to entertaining an agreement with the city where, you know, you guys provide the land on a long-term lease in exchange for usage rights for the various clubs and organizations and teams that you guys have here. So we're very open to that.
Okay, I guess that was my concern.
Sure.
Because, yeah, I didn't wanna, if the city was gonna do this for our kids and then also have to pay extra, that would've been interesting.
well, have you discussed, with any of your, revenue streams just purchasing the land? Is that, I just struggle with, government being in business with things, right? Because if it doesn't work out and then down the road, the taxpayer is gonna be on the hook for anything that's still on that land. Have you thought about just purchasing that parcel of land, rather than having some type of agreement with the city?
I have not, but if there was a proposed price, then we would consider that, if that would make everything simpler. I'm a simple guy.
Yeah.
I would love it to be simple.
You see my concerns though, right? It's just down the road if something were, if it didn't bring in the income that we thought, and then the taxpayer would be on the hook to manage it.
Sure,
I appreciate the input, thank you.
absolutely.
And they have wanted to meet with me, but because this was coming to a public hearing, I chose not to do that, so.
Okay.
So we're at a little disadvantaged because I don't know really beyond what you know as far as, the concept and their ideas
Okay.
and that type of thing, so.
I've seen these, my kids play in tournaments all over the country with these, so You know, I've seen them before. I think they can benefit the community. They have their ups and downs, just like everything, but I think that's my only concern, so thank you.
Absolutely.
Any further questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Can I add one comment?
Sure.
Most of these facilities around the country are run in a 3P situation, and they are usually funded by a city or a county. We're unique in our area where we just don't have the bottom line to do that. So the vision for this is to be a nonprofit to benefit these kids. We're not some mega corporation coming in. We're just a couple of dads who said, let's just build this thing, let's do it. So whatever we can do in partnership with you guys, whether that's in a legal contract or just all of us putting our heads together to go, how do we protect our kids to be able to play and not have to hit the lottery to be able to play sports, youth sports, then let's do it. I think we owe it to our kids to be able to do that. So that's the whole heart behind this. It's not to make a bunch of millionaires. It's probably not going to happen. It's going to be set up as a nonprofit. So anyway, I just wanted to communicate that to you guys. That is the heart behind what we're doing here. Thank you.
Thank you,
Very
I
good,
appreciate
thank you
it.
very much.
Anybody have any other questions?
This is a public hearing, and I only had one person sign in to testify. Was there anybody else who wishes to testify in this matter?
Question, is that testifying?
I'm sorry?
I have a question, but I don't know, I'm not good at this.
If you want to testify, you can sign in.
We won't hold it against you, it's okay. We value your input.
Right there, and I have.
It just makes it clearer on the record.
Thank you.
Hopefully we can read the writing.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Would you write my name for me? I can't. It's Tina Chapman. Levi. 2955 Middleview Road.
Thank you.
Look what you started, Mr. Mayor.
What's that?
Look what you started.
I know it. That's not it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Michael Rocco, you may have the floor, sir.
Michael Rocco, 1286 East Fort Erie Street in Cuna, Idaho, 83634. I appreciate the attorney's input as far as it is the city's land, and so I feel like it's not as risky, and so I appreciate that. So my comments really are about maybe down the future, not necessarily about the rezoning. And maybe they're more rhetorical than anything else, but the which traffic studies confirmed that nearby roads will safely handle tournament and peak event volumes. What assurances are in place to ensure taxpayers aren't stuck paying for related utility, stormwater, or road upgrades? How will noise and lighting from evening events be mitigated for nearby residents? Does this request genuinely align with the CUNA's comprehensive plan and long-term growth vision rather than catering to a standalone development? And then the City Council passed Resolution R32-2024, approving a real property and easement donation agreement with Gordon Properties. In light of that, and this is to your point, Councilman Biggs, how will this property arrangement ensure continued public access, equitable use, and accountability rather than benefiting primary private interests? With that, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rocco.
Tina Townley.
Tina Townley, 2955 Meadowview Road, Cuna, Idaho. I was here last time and I asked a lot of questions and they were, I got a lot of answers, but one thing that I heard that I wasn't real, my big concern is this: they didn't plan on putting a light in. And 95% of Cuna's kids are on this side of Meridian Road. My concern is the dangers of them going to that side of Cuna Road. So I would really like that considered, that somehow there's gotta be a way for them. They're not gonna walk all the way down to Deer Flat to cross. They're just not gonna do it. So that's my big concern. That was
Very
the only
good.
question I had. Thank you.
Thank you, very good. Rebecca Simmons.
Rebecca Simmons, 2035 East Thea Drive, Cuna. So I live in Indian Creek Ranch, which is just down the street. And I think, as a parent, this is a great idea. But I do have concerns about the Cuna curve. And if nothing is done about the Cuna curve, I mean, it's getting harder and harder off of Cuna Road to get out and turn left. I hope that is part of your planning when you do this. And the other thing that, when I originally heard about this, that I liked was that the city owned part of that land, which meant they had a little bit of control over the years that would continue of the kids, local children, being able to use that without high fees. And so those are just my couple concerns.
Very
Thank
good,
you.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Jan Czar.
Jan Czar, 412 East Boise Street, Cuna, Idaho. A lot of the concerns have already been mentioned, but I think my biggest concern is what Councilman Bruce has a concern about, and especially a government agency in partnership with a non-government agency. We've seen that happen just down the road with the Fort Idaho Center. So we want to make sure that we don't get in that type of situation. I think it's a great idea to have this here, but personally I think sell the land, let them have it. So I'm trying to get into that partnership where you get into something 20 years down the line, you're going, oh, what the heck did we do? And taxpayers are paying for it. So anyway, that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you. All right, and that's all I had. Did anybody else wish to testify? All right, seeing none.
I move we close evidence presentation and move to deliberation.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed? Motion carries.
You want me, I can start. I like the idea. I think they're beneficial in large places, but I've seen them where they've been in other states that they've failed as well. And I just don't want to I would rather figure out a way to address the land, what we're gonna do with it, whether we're gonna sell it or a partnership. I'd like to know that first before I just think this is a little premature. I would rather sell the land than have any ownership of it. I think that if like one of the constituents said, if we do end up, it doesn't make the money that we think it does, are we gonna put the taxpayer on the hook down the road? And that's something that I have a concern about. Will it be Parks managing it then? Will we be spending that money? So, or if we do have a partnership, I'd like to see what that looks like prior to moving forward. That's just my thought process. Not that it's a no, just that let's clarify where we're at first.
Well, in my mind, the possibilities are there's so many possibilities that I think I'd like to see what we can come up with a contract for the property that ensures that the city's not on the hook for maintenance or continuing funding to go into a bottomless pit. So I I guess I'd like to see what we can come up with for a contract for that. And I certainly understand the need to get the rezone done so that they can move forward with trying to secure some funding and that type of thing, so, I don't know, I guess in my mind, it doesn't hurt anything to do the rezone, especially where we still own the property, we control that 20 acres substantially, so that's kind of my thoughts on it. I did just, the possibilities that can occur because, you know, we've tried for recreation district and a recreation center and the funding that costs and having to bond for that and put people on the hook for a whole bunch of money certainly wasn't a popular idea, and I don't know that it would be any more popular today than it was when we ran that, I don't know, 11 or 12 years ago. So I guess I'm looking at something we can do for the kids and keep the athlete. And we are short. I know the school district talks about how much it costs them to keep all those baseball fields going and working for the community, and something like this will kind of help take the load off of them. So I'd just like to see, I'd like to see this move forward so that we can see where it brings us.
That's my thoughts too. It kind of, it's the step we need to take so they can secure funding potentially and see where it can go. And I get your point of the cart before the horse and all that.
Yeah.
And usually the hole in the donut's the one that's surrounded by growth or whatever, and they eventually give in. But we're the hole in the donut, but we control the wheel rolling at this point. Like, if they don't meet funding, we still own our chunk in the middle, and we can do as such. I mean, I'm not opposed to the idea of selling it down the road, but again, they need to have it as a unit, zoned the same, just to secure funding. So I don't see where it hurts to do that, like the mayor said.
Well, I look at it as, are we gonna be is the government agency supposed to be the fundraiser for stuff like this, right? Should we change it just so they can go raise funds? I think they should have that handled prior to coming to us. You know, that's just my thought is, hey, let's secure, this is what we're gonna do. You're not giving me any money, you're just saying, hey, if I can go get this done, here we've come up with an agreement, let's move forward. Rather than saying, let's change this to prepare him to get to the next step. I just don't, it just isn't government's job to do that, I don't think. But I see what you're saying. I mean, everyone has their own opinions.
I tend to agree with that because I think the Ford Idaho Center was a perfect example of what's going on when things go the other way. Been reading a lot about that in the news and watching online, but I think I also would like to see us sell it and then let them push forward that way. It just bringing us along and having us being part of it, just, I don't know, I keep going back to that your cart before the horse thing, and I don't know, I'm a little skeptical, I guess. I would rather just flat out sell it outright.
Guess I'm the last one.
Take a swing, John.
Yeah, I kind of agree with everybody's saying, but I'm still stuck on what Councilman Bruce said. I'm not in favor of the government getting involved with private corporation, private citizens to be part of a project for a couple of reasons. One, if this all falls through, are we gonna be required to come up with the money or a bond or something to finish the project? Because the citizens are gonna like this. I think it's a great idea, don't get me wrong. I think it's beautiful. But there's a lot of questions, like the attorney brought up, that are unanswered. And I don't know if I wanna stick my vote with that. I'd rather wait till all these questions that all of us have are answered, so we can move forward clearly and not just go, okay, it's okay to do a zone change. I don't know if I want to do anything until we have more answers. That's just my opinion.
Well, I guess I would say that regardless of whether we keep it or sell it, do a contract or sell it, if the zoning actually probably adds value to the sale price. So, I mean, I don't see that that's a stickler in this case. I mean, I get that if the government doesn't want to be involved in helping or getting a contract written or any of that, that's fine. But maybe they'll come up with a contract that makes it desirable. I don't know. So I still think the possibilities are enough, and it's positive enough that I think it's worthwhile to let it move forward either way. And then we can determine what we want to, I mean, if council doesn't want to approve a contract, we don't have to. There's nothing says we have to. And then we could force for the sale of the property. So I don't really see that it's, I don't really see that it's a deal breaker either way for us if we rezone or if we don't.
Well, and it might be harder for them to come up with funding if they're saying, we have this and we have that, but the city's in the middle going, we want to either sell it or whatever, but we don't even have it listed as commercial, or, you know, it might make it more difficult for them to even come up with funding if we don't. I mean, for something as simple as a zone change. I guess that's the way I see it.
Yeah, I think we just look at it differently.
Yeah, for sure.
I say, and I deal with finance all the time. You go get your funding, you go and deal with it prior to changing anything. But we do have the school district lands is right behind that, right? If we change that to commercial, then we're it's a
School
no
district
for
is
me,
just to the
yeah,
south,
but
right?
yeah, it's just the
Correct.
south. But you guys have to figure out where you guys stand. I'd rather seek some type of agreement with it, whether we're gonna sell it or move on. And then,
Sorry, Mark Bybee, City Attorney. So, the first two comments will kind of pull in opposite directions. I'm just gonna offer them. So, as has been noted, and I think I want to emphasize, even if it's rezoned, the city still controls that middle lot because it's theirs, and a plat isn't gonna go forward without the city signing off and agreeing to go on the plat, which it's my opinion to get to that point, there'd have to be a lot of negotiations to happen to clarify the things you guys are talking about right now. I think they're appropriate questions, and I think it would need to be sorted out. Certainly the sell, if, you know, they were to raise enough funds, the sale of the city lot could happen even before it gets to that point. So now we're no longer on a plat application. We sold it and they can proceed on their own plat application, right? So those are possible things that could happen after this rezone. And the other point I wanted to make is, because I just think in my first comments, I wasn't necessarily clear on this myself, and that's why I asked Jess, is it all three lots, or is it just the city lot that's on the rezone application? This will result in those other two lots getting rezoned as well, right? So you retain the control of the central city one, but the other two would end up commercial as well, and you wouldn't have control over those. So so long as that's, you know, consistent with the comp plan and all those kinds of things, I defer to Marina, I defer to Doug on whether it's consistent with the comp plan and all those different components. Is the city okay with those ones being rezoned? And not just okay, but does it comply with the comp plan? Does it, you know, comply with our zoning code and what we're looking to do as a city? That's something me and Doug over here were discussing is, okay, if there's going to be potentially denial, how does it not satisfy applicable criteria, right? That's still an issue on, is this not conforming to our future land use map? Is this not conforming to our zoning standards? What's the nonconformity right now?
So you're saying it's not conforming?
No,
That's what you said,
I'm not
though.
saying that. I'm saying, like, if there's a denial, how is this application not satisfying?
How is it
Yeah,
not?
how is it not
Okay.
satisfying that so that we can put it in a written decision?
I heard you say it was
I
not.
would say that
That's
Sorry.
why I was like,
the
wait a minute.
city owns it, and we don't wanna rezone it. It's our land. We don't have to, like,
And I think that's appropriate to this, that would be an appropriate thing, I guess, to say to the center lot. And I think you're hitting at an issue is, you know, why was the decision to agree to this application not brought to the council first?
Prior, yeah.
Right? And I think we're kind of seeing that issue at this moment, but I don't think that that issue applies only to your lot. It doesn't apply to the other two.
So you're
Right.
bringing us an application, then you're telling us we can't deny it.
No, I'm not telling you
Well-
that. I am not telling you that.
Not in that same language. You're
Uh-huh.
saying, how are you gonna deny it legally?
Well-
When we didn't even agree to bring this application before us.
And I think that's, you're identifying an issue with the city lot, and maybe it's an issue of this application needs to be separate applications even. That maybe that's part of the issue, is that it shouldn't have been joined together as co-applications.
Which goes back to the impression is that there is a partnership, whether there is one or not.
I guess I have something I'm taking in my mind, and I'm just, if we approve this, is it irresponsible for us to put a time limit on it? Like, if nothing is done within 5 years, this development agreement dissolves. Because if we're sitting here 5 years from now and nothing's being done, and somebody comes along and say, hey, we'll give you $20 million for that 20 acres, do we have a way out? If nothing has been accomplished or moved forward with this.
Well, I think that's where the agreement is that we would have. This is not like setting up an agreement, this is just saying we're gonna rezone it, they'll come get an agreement. But we're also rezoning 2 other properties, which school district owns the land behind it, so it's like, we don't even have any input from them if they knew it was a rezone for just commercial for those 2 lots. Cause I'm sure they would have something to say if we're rezoning commercial right behind where they're at.
I'd think they'd be happy, no kids, you know, to fill the schools more. I would think they would be.
I'm just saying that
Quite
we don't
okay.
have it, right? That's,
Yeah, there was no letter I didn't see a letter from CUNY School District on this.
It's just a rezone. I mean, it's not approving anything.
Oh, I know. I mean, there's other rezones, we have letters from.
but what they're saying is, once we rezone it, whether we do anything or not, they can build commercial on those 2 lots. So, did those other agencies have any input saying, hey, we're gonna build commercial here? They should have those, you may wanna send some input on this because they're changing these 2 lots to commercial. They're thinking, hey, we're gonna rezone it, it's all gonna be one piece, but if it doesn't work out, then we've rezoned them without having any input from any agencies. Am I right? Am I wrong? Is that right?
No, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Doug, go ahead.
Council President Bruce, so just so you are aware, just like any public hearing level application, we did send out an agency transmittal to all agencies, letting them know of the rezone application. It's just the agency comments that you see in your packet, those were just the responses we received. So everybody got the opportunity to review the application.
But you sent it out as all 3 parcels in one, right? So they're thinking it's a whole project?
So for the record, Doug Hanson, CUNA Planning and Zoning staff, we sent it out as all 3 parcels in one, yes, with the proposed rezone request. But we wouldn't really receive any more in-depth comments because we let them know this is simply just a rezone and the site plan is just conceptual. That is subject to change. So when this initially went out, part of the thought process was just if the rezone would comply with the future land use map. That area is targeted for commercial. It gives the opportunity to True Grit Sports to see if they can even raise the funding. We didn't even really discuss any types of formal partnerships because we wanted this to get before you first so you could take a look at it to see if that's something you would even entertain, because we didn't want to waste the staff time and resources, attorney fees, talking about any kind of formal partnerships if that's not something the city council was interested in. So the rezone application was also a way to bring this before you. But if it's something that the council's not interested in, that's just, that's fine as well.
Well, in my mind, I'd rather it be commercial than residential, so, I'd just as soon see that it have a C stamp on it.
Sorry, city attorney again. One last comment to Councilman Bruce to what our back and forth that we had. This is one application, so the denial would go across the board, right? The application was presented in a certain form, so it's not like we can select deny ours, approved for the other two, and so I think you're right in that it's, if you're denying because of this issue with the city lot, I think that could be applied to the other lots because they are joined in a single application, if that makes sense. It doesn't mean that these wouldn't apply, satisfy the criteria on their own, those separate parcels, it's, but joined in this manner.
Mark, just one quick question for you, just to make sure I understand. Whether this happens or not, there's nothing that binds us to the group. It's still just flat out commercial zone, that's it.
If this was approved, it'd just
Nothing
be
binding.
flat out commercial zone and there's no guarantees going forward, cause the city has not signed on to any long-term plan with this. So yeah, you'd have 3 commercially zoned lots, in what I understand to be a place that's future land use mapped for it.
Thanks.
Okay, anything further?
You got anything,
I have nothing.
Councilman Biggs?
That's it, buddies.
So, do you wanna see it, what would you rather see it done? You want them to handle the agreement first, or?
I would like to see that, but it's not gonna stop me from rezone. I think, like Mark said, there's nothing binding us to the group. So it appears to me that there's no harm, in at least just getting it rezoned.
Same.
And I'll entertain a motion from one of you guys.
Mr. Mayor, I would move we approve case number 25-01ZC.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval. Is there any further discussion on that motion?
I'm just gonna speak to mine's gonna be a no, just because I think that we should handle this prior to it getting to us. I don't like how this was presented to us and brought to us where it's, we didn't get a chance to discuss what would be done with the city's property prior to packaging it up and bringing it to us. I don't like that at all. So I will be a no on this.
Okay.
All right, anything further? All those in favor of the motion to approve case number 2501ZC, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Yes. Aye.
All right, and that motion carries. All right, consideration to approve resolution R48, 2025, meter rental fee, and R49, 2025, updating fee structure for modeling support. Adam Wenger.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Adam Wenger, City of Cuna Public Works, 6950 South 10 Mile Road. Tonight, I bring forward Resolution R48-2025, which calls for the implementation of a new fee structure for the renting of construction meters. This change will contemporize the language of the contract and the rates charged by the city. The city's current rental agreement, shown in Exhibit A, can be found on page 158 of your packet. The updated agreement is found in Exhibit B on pages 159 and 160. The new contract provides more clarity in the requirements section and adds a prohibited actions section to further protect city property and infrastructure. The fee schedule component of the contract is the primary driver for this resolution, for which a comparison of nearby municipalities was completed to ensure parity. This is detailed in Exhibit C, page 161. In this chart, we show 3 fees that have proposed changes. The first is the implementation of a security deposit. The proposed deposit amount of $3,000 is justified in Exhibit D, page 162, where it is shown the cost to the city to replace the meter is $2,830.62. The additional $169.38 above the cost of the meter is intended to cover future increased replacement costs and city staff time consumed to replace the meter. There's no proposed change to either the daily rate or usage rate, as those are both in line and considered adequate. Finally, 2 new fees are proposed as a tamper fee and a late fee. The first can be leveraged if it is determined that a meter has been altered in a way that will impact its ability to record the volume consumed, and the latter fee is meant to incentivize users to report their monthly readings in a timely manner and to otherwise accommodate for staff time spent pursuing this information. Upon council approval, this updated fee schedule will be effective immediately for new rental contracts, with existing contracts being honored until cause arises to issue a new meter. Thank you for your consideration. I stand by for your comments and questions.
Okay, thank you. Questions for Adam?
Nope.
All right, this is a public hearing. I didn't have anybody sign up to testify in this matter. Is there somebody who wishes to testify? All right, seeing none.
You guys have anything?
I have nothing.
You good? I actually had a question, Adam. How are we, since you brought up fire hydrants, how are we caught up on what we need to do with our fire hydrants in general?
I'm sorry, Council President Bruce, what specifically?
Since when you took over, I think we were
Gotcha.
behind on testing them and,
Well, flushing and
Yeah.
exercising.
Gotcha.
I was just
Um,
curious, I hadn't heard in a while, so.
Sneak preview to your report that's coming out at the end of the week. To date, we have addressed about 1,000, and with
Nice.
600 or so remaining.
That's great, thank you.
Adam, I've got a question for you. Just looking at the schedule compared to the other cities like Meridian and Middleton and stuff, it's just interesting to me, you know, the numbers are kind of all over the place. Some don't have it at all, that we're gonna be at the high side. Maybe you have a little more insight into why Meridian doesn't, and maybe they all have brand new stuff, I don't know. They don't expect to have any this year.
Sure.
Okay.
Councilmember Biggs, Adam Winger, City of Cuna. You're right, it's all over the place. There doesn't seem to be a great rhyme or reason to it. The only other city that is currently considering raising their rates or changing their rates is the city of Nampa. And they said that theirs hadn't been done in about 10 years. Talking with staff, this hasn't been done for the city of Cuna in probably 20 years. This is a similar fee structure to what I've used in other municipalities that did a better job of protecting the city's infrastructure, in my opinion. We might be higher above board, but this, in the end, is our fees that contractors are ready and willing to pay in order to build here.
Thanks. It makes sense, the $3,000 deposit, when you explain it. It was interesting that they don't charge it at all for Meridian or Middleton. Maybe they trust their contractors a little more, I don't know, or what they're. I don't know,
Councilmember
Garden
Biggs,
City
it's also possible that the growth, I don't want to speak disparagingly of other cities, but we currently have 48 meters, 28 meters in our meter fleet, and I know a lot of other cities only have a small handful. So it's not as big of a deal for them as it might be for us.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Anything else?
I think the biggest key is just the fact that we haven't done this for a while, so I think it's just something we need to keep up with, and it's fiscally responsible to do so.
I'm just glad we've got caught up. That's,
Certainly.
Adam's doing great over there, thank you.
Yeah, he is.
I move we close evidence presentation and move to deliberation.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Move we approve, resolution R 48-2025 and R 49-2025.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. That takes us to consideration to approve resolution R 66-2025, amending planning and zoning building fee schedules. Doug Hanson.
Mayor and council, for the record, Doug Hanson, CUNA Planning and Zoning Director, 751 West 4th Street, CUNA. This evening, staff is proposing new and amended fees for the planning and zoning and building departments. The proposed new and amended fees are redlined in your packet and begin on page 168. So it will be the removal of the comprehensive plan text amendment application, the removal of the res check, the lowering of the signed special use permit application, and an increase to the zoning verification letter and fine for covering without an inspection, as well as the commercial reinspection fee. And we are also proposing one new fee for the preliminary plat reinstatement. The new and amended fees will ensure that Development Services is covering administrative costs that the department incurs for the review of development applications, building permits, and performing inspections. I am here for any questions you have and to address any of the proposed fee changes in greater detail if necessary. And with that, I will stand by for any questions.
Questions for Doug?
Thank you, Doug.
All right, again, this is a public hearing. I didn't have anybody sign up to testify. Is anybody who wishes to testify? Didn't get a chance to sign in. All right, seeing none. Well, again, I think this is just good fiscal responsibility to make sure that general fund doesn't have to pick up the tab for reviewing permitting and fees like that that the builders and contractors should be covering, so.
These are for the, all right. I move we close evidence presentation and move to deliberation.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Do you guys have anything?
Nope.
Yes, sir.
No, I guess I'll make a comment. It's just, we're not really adding this cost on to the developers or the builders. We're gonna be tacking it on to what the people pay for their house. So that's where I know the buck stops. So I don't think it really hurts the developers that much. It's gonna be in the pockets of the buyers.
The end user.
But it doesn't hurt the other taxpayers to provide for their growth, so.
I'm sorry?
It doesn't make the taxpayers pay for someone else's growth, though.
It
so.
makes the new
Yeah.
growth pay
Oh,
for
yeah.
new growth.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing that.
Yeah.
Yes, you are correct.
I think we're both right.
Yeah,
I think you are.
we can go with that.
You have anything?
No, sir.
You good?
I'm good.
I move we approve resolution R 66-2025.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval of resolution R 66-2025. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? And that motion carries. That takes us to business items, a contingency request. Chief Fratusco.
Good evening, Mayor Steer and council members. For the record, Mike Fratusco, Chief of Police for the City of Cuna, 793 West 4th Street. First off, I'd like to say thank you to the members and the city staff who reached out to myself or Deputy Jones to check on him. And as many of you recently have seen, Deputy Tyson Jones was involved in a horrific crash on patrol. I truly believe there was some divine intervention that kept him from being significantly injured or killed when he struck the deer at a high rate of speed. Tyson is one of the hardest working and toughest human beings that I have ever had the pleasure of supervising. The City of Cuna is unique when it comes to traffic enforcement team we have put together in city. When we started our traffic program, we teamed with ITD through a grant program to help purchase these motorcycles. The motorcycles had to be American-made, and we needed to meet certain monthly requirements to receive the grant money. For the last few years, we have been able to meet all criteria and have been successful in our partnership. We are now at the end of the grant program, and we can no longer participate for the grant matching funds. And unfortunately, due to the crash, we are no longer on track to be able to trade that motorcycle towards a new motorcycle. My request is ask the city for $50,000 in contingency money for the new motorcycle. The estimated cost of the new Harley through High Desert Harley is $45,067, rough estimate. And this contingency request will be executed in fiscal year 2026 and paid out of the general fund. Once the insurance money is sent back to the city for the crashed motorcycle, that money will go back into that general fund. The reason for asking so quickly is due to a couple factors. The 2025 models are coming to an end, and the new Harley-Davidson body style is coming out in 2026. High Desert Harley has stated there will be a long lag time for getting a new motorcycle if we do not purchase the 2025 end-of-year models. The other factor is purchasing a first-generation motorcycle comes with its own problems and more likely a higher cost. These motorcycles and their riders have proven their worth, and it's shown in the monthly and annual reports. The directed traffic enforcement and special events to include CUNA Days Parade, Christmas Parade, and those are just a couple of the special events where they are utilized. They also have played a major role with traffic enforcement in school zones during the morning and afternoon school commutes. This specialized unit has hundreds of hours of training and needs to be back up and running as soon as possible. I'd also like to, if I could, answer a couple questions I think Mr. Rocco brought up. So normally, when we look at our Tahoes, if we were to crash a Tahoe, which approximately a month ago I would say we had a pursuit where we attempted 3 different pits on a vehicle. We had to have 2 Tahoes replaced, and one is in the process, or will soon be in the process of having its door replaced. The city does in fact pay for those through the contract. So there is money inside the yearly contract that is allotted for replacement vehicles or damage to those vehicles. Well, I take that back. Allotted for 2 replacement vehicles a year, and then the damage to those vehicles goes through Ada County Risk. So their damage is taken care of through the sheriff's office. The difference with these motorcycles is these motorcycles are actually owned by the city of Cuna. And we did that because we did go through a grant program, and they are insured by the city of Cuna. The equipment that comes on those motorcycles is standard law enforcement equipment. It comes with the lights and the siren. Other than that, all other equipment on that motorcycle is placed by the Ada County Sheriff's Office through my budget. We probably have about, I'm just guessing, approximately $10,000 worth of equipment that Ada County Risk is replacing due to the damage of the crash. So I know our city clerk can probably explain more on how that grant worked and the cost, and I'll turn it over to him if that's okay.
Okay.
Mayor, Council, Nathan Stanley, City Clerk. So when we first initiated the grant with ITD in 2023, we were awarded $117,000, and we have a percentage of the match that we need to contribute. And so instead of using cash for that match percentage, we chose to purchase one of the 2 Harleys as our match to accommodate that match percentage. And we had to go with Harley Davidson because it has to be American made. And we have submitted our claim through our insurance, and we should hear back in the next week to 14 days on the outcome.
Just going back on talking about the Harley Davidson itself, speaking with High Desert, there's only a few left because they're going to be coming out with the 2026 models. ISP just ordered, I believe, 6 or 8, so they're going to come first, and then next would be ours. I've already gone through our risk already to replace our equipment, and in the meantime and in the long run, if we want to look at a different method instead of us having to come to, or myself having to come to city council to replace a motorcycle, because we are in a high-risk profession. We do crash cars. Unfortunately, we have a motorcycle that was crashed that needs replaced. We can, in the future, look at going through the same method we do with the Tahoes, where the city's contract would increase, the city would pay money towards vehicles, and they could be rotated out or gone through risk through the Ada County Sheriff's Office. But if we are to do the grant, that changes things, and that's why we went through this process. And I'll stand for any questions.
Question?
No, I just want to say thank you. I understand the value of buying them, the last model instead of the newer one next year. It's probably going to be less expensive. Plus, we already get it ordered. I think if we do want to look down the road about how we change with funding methods, but we're going to pay for them either way.
That's what I wanted to ask was about the grant. So the grant is done. We're no longer eligible for the grant, right? I just want to make sure that part. So that's, go ahead. Councilman Biggs, for the record, Mike Fertusco. That's a great question. I believe we have to sit out a year.
That's correct. So we have been doing the grant for the last 3 years. After 3 years, you have to wait a year, and then your eligibility restarts, and then we'll be able to apply for it for the next 3 years, which we plan on doing.
So I guess, forgive my ignorance about motorcycles. I'm scared to death of them. But what would prevent us from using this to buy a BMW or a Kawasaki or an Indian motorcycle? Councilman Biggs, for the record, Mike Fertusco, City of Cuna. The motorcycle decision is a decision that we can come to down the road. Right now, our 2 riders are trained on the Harleys. They've gone through the course. Deputy Jones is actually an instructor in the state of Idaho. I believe there's maybe 5 to 7 instructors, so he teaches motorcycles, and it can be BMW or Harley Davidson. If we were to go back to the grant, which we sit out 1 year and we went back the following year, they would still require it to be an American-made motorcycle. Also, a lot of the agencies, Meridian is switching to Harley Davidson, ISP has switched to Harley Davidson, is implementing all of those in. So we're seeing a lot of agencies switch to the Harley Davidson. BMW, you're gonna have your deputies that prefer the BMW. I will say right now that our BMW riders said that if Tyson Jones would have been riding a BMW, the outcome would have been different. So I think there was a lot more metal on that motorcycle, the way it was laid out, the way it sits. So I, not being a motorcycle rider, look at that Harley as being what saved him, I guess. So it's not like jumping in, from a Ford F-150 into a Toyota Tundra. Different ride, different sitting, different maneuverability. But we are seeing a lot of agencies switching to the Harley Davidson. And the BMW is more expensive, and the Harley Davidson High Desert gets us in and out of the shop, and we take priority. Whereas our guys on the BMWs and Eagle, they can sit for a few weeks before they get their bike back. I've seen, I think Meridian Police Department does BMWs also. They do, but they've switched over to Harleys. They have a few Harleys now. Thank you.
Councilman Biggs, Nathan Stanley, City Clerk. I do want to point out too that the grant actually helps pay for the traffic deputy's salary as well.
Oh, wow.
So it's a big tool that the city uses to have those extra deputies on the road.
I think you're talking about going from a Cadillac to a smart car. Right.
Again, my ignorance.
Yeah, that's kind of what.
Yes.
I only have
BMWs have nice cars, so.
Yeah.
I only have 2 questions. How is Tyson?
Councilman Laraway, for the record, Mike Fertusco, I appreciate the question. Tyson Jones had no internal injuries, no broken bones, and I'm sharing this with you because he's given me permission to share it with everybody. He has road rash on his arms, elbows, a little on his leg, but his riding pants and the pads in those pants, and I don't know if they're made out of Kevlar or not, but the pants, his load-bearing vest that he wears, his Kevlar vest he wore underneath it, and his helmet saved his life. The helmet is torn up on one side. His vest was ripped to shreds, so all of that's getting replaced. His duty gear was shredded. His sidearm was pretty marred up. He slid 75 yards. Wow. And it was crazy. He is lucky to be alive, in my opinion.
My second statement is, when we put this down, it should be when the deer struck Deputy Jones.
Well, Councilman Laraway, I think Deputy Jones has probably taken a lot of the family's lives of that deer, and I fully believe they were targeting him.
This was on Idaho 21, right?
Yes, Councilman Biggs, and that's,
Places to fall down there too.
sure, and that's been a question, and I'll address that real quick in case there's any questions. So, we do share resources. If you drive in Eagle, you're gonna see Meridian officers, you're gonna see Boise officers, ISP, Eagle, Star. Star, they're not on motorcycles, but they have a two-man team, or three-man team now. So they rotate around through the month. So you'll see them go to different locations, to include Garden City. They'll concentrate in Cuna, then they'll move, the next month they'll move to Eagle, the next month they'll go to unincorporated Ada County. So they go all over trying to help curb traffic issues. So they do share resources, and it's been huge for us to get an influx of other riders to talk about when the Hells Angels were here. A lot of the members that came to work that event were just trading their normal job hours in Eagle or wherever they were working to come out work in Cuna with no added overtime cost. So there is a shared resource.
Thank you. Good?
No brainer.
Councilman?
I'm glad you answered the question, because I had a lot of them until you clarified a lot of stuff. Thank you.
I move we approve the contingency request for $50,000 to replace the Harley Davidson motorcycle.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. And I will say personally, I was quite worried when Chief told me of that accident. I've known Tyson a long time, and when you hear about an accident like that, I was afraid we would lose him to injury, if nothing else. But fortunately, he's a tough dog, and he's going to come back. So very happy with that. All right, that brings us to ordinances. Consideration to approve ordinance 2025-26, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cuna making certain findings and enlarging the boundaries of the Cuna Municipal Irrigation System by the inclusion of Ada County Assessors, EB's Development LLC, and declaring water rights appurtenant thereto are pooled for delivery purposes, and directing the city clerk to record this ordinance as provided by law, directing the city engineer to provide notice of this ordinance to the Boise Cuna Irrigation District, the owners, and update the irrigation system map, and providing an effective date.
I move we waive 3 readings of ordinance 2025-26.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to waive the 3 readings. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
I move we approve ordinance 2025-26.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval of the ordinance. Any further discussion on that motion? Nathan, would you poll the council, please?
Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
Yes.
And that motion carries. Consideration to approve ordinance 2025-27, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cuna making certain findings and enlarging the boundaries of the Cuna Municipal Irrigation System by the inclusion of Ada County Assessors Black Creek LP, and declaring water rights appurtenant thereto are pooled for delivery purposes, and directing the city clerk to record this ordinance as provided by law, directing the city engineer to provide notice of this ordinance to the Boise Cuna Irrigation District, the owners, and update the irrigation system map, and providing an effective date.
I move we waive 3 readings of ordinance 2025-27.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to waive the 3 readings. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I move we approve ordinance 2025-27.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval. Any further discussion on that motion? Nathan, would you poll the council?
Councilmember McPherson,
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs,
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway,
Yes.
Council President Bruce.
Yes.
And that motion carries. Let's see. Consideration to approve ordinance 2025-28. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cuna, making certain findings and enlarging the boundaries of the Cuna Municipal Irrigation System by the inclusion of Ada County Assessors HHIF VI LLC and declaring water rights appurtenant thereto are pooled for delivery purposes, directing the city clerk to record this ordinance as provided by law, and directing the city engineer to provide notice of this ordinance to the Boise Cuna Irrigation District, the owners, and update the irrigation system map and providing an effective date.
I move we waive 3 readings of ordinance 2025-28.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to waive the 3 readings. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Move we approve ordinance 2025-28.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval. Any further discussion on that motion? Nathan, would you poll the council?
Councilmember McPherson,
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs,
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway,
Yes.
Council President Bruce.
Yes.
And that motion carries. Consideration to approve ordinance 2025-29. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cuna, making certain findings and enlarging the boundaries of the Cuna Municipal Irrigation System by the inclusion of Ada County Assessors HHIF VI LLC and declaring water rights appurtenant thereto are pooled for delivery purposes, and directing the city clerk to record this ordinance as provided by law, directing the city clerk to provide notice of this ordinance to the New York Irrigation District, the owners, and update the irrigation system map, and providing an effective date. I thought that one is exactly the same until I got to the New York Irrigation District.
I gotcha. I move we waive 3 readings of ordinance 2025-29.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? And that motion carries.
I move we approve ordinance 2025-29.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval. Any further discussion on that motion? Nathan, would you poll the council?
Councilmember McPherson,
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs,
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway,
Yes.
Council President Bruce.
Yes.
And that motion carries. Consideration to approve ordinance 2025-30. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cuna, making certain findings and enlarging the boundaries of the Cuna Municipal Irrigation System by the inclusion of Ada County Assessors HHIF VI LLC and declaring water rights appurtenant thereto are pooled for delivery purposes, and directing the city clerk to record this ordinance as provided by law, and directing the city engineer to provide notice of this ordinance to the New York Irrigation District, the owners, and update the irrigation system map and providing an effective date.
Move we waive 3 readings of 2025-30.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to waive the 3 readings. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Move we approve ordinance 2025-30.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval. Any further discussion on that motion? Nathan, would you poll the council?
Councilmember McPherson,
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
Yes.
And that motion carries. Consideration to approve ordinance 2025-32, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cuna making certain findings and enlarging the boundaries of the Cuna Municipal Irrigation System by the inclusion of Ada County Assessors Hubble Homes LLC and declaring water rights appurtenant thereto are pooled for delivery purposes, and directing the city clerk to record this ordinance as provided by law, directing the city engineer to provide notice of this ordinance to the Boise Cuna Irrigation District, the owners, and update the irrigation system map, and providing an effective date.
Just for clarification, in the packet on page 198, it says ordinance 2025-31, not 2 at the top of it. The bottom it says 32, but at the top it says 31.
What I'm looking at is 32, and then when we drop down to the next ordinance,
It's
it's
31.
31.
That's Idaho Power.
Yeah, Idaho Powers is the third
31 is
one.
Idaho Power.
Yeah.
Right, it's,
Right, but on the top
on
of,
the actual ordinance, it's.
on the top of the
labeled
ordinance
31.
itself, it reads 31.
Yep.
Well, then, so in the packet, they're not switched.
No.
Can you see as Idaho Power then listed as 32?
Nope, it's 31.
So we have two 31s in the packet.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
The bottom of the page.
Yeah, that's
says
just an
ordinance.
error. I can fix that.
All right, so we are approving ordinance 32 though, right now.
Correct.
Mark Bybee, city attorney, you could actually amend it by interlineation, just strike through, put it on there, include that as part of the motion that you amended the ordinance title to 32. So it's what is it, 2025-32?
Got that,
The
Chris?
ordinance
Yeah.
title in the packet,
That's correct.
it's already
It's
that way
correct.
in the,
Yeah, it's correct in the summary.
and the agenda is correct.
The agenda is correct. In the packet, it says ordinance 2025-31 when it's actually for
On one part.
the ordinance 2025-32. So that was just an error on my end.
It says 32.
So I was saying to make a motion to correct, because what I'm looking at in the packet, page 202, is that right? That says 2025-31, should say 2025-32, correct?
No.
No.
Page 190.
The irrigation annexation is 32. It's just listed as 31 in the title. That was just an error on my end.
Okay, that's way too far in the packet. So is the Idaho Power one, it is correct?
Yes.
So that one's
Idaho
31?
Powers 2025-31.
Okay, that's what threw me off, because it comes next in the order on the
Yes.
agenda, so.
So do I
okay.
need to state the page number for clarification, so that they'll have a reference? Because if we just say a number, it doesn't have any correlation to.
Man, I made that way too difficult.
No, it's
Why
good.
do you
It's-
always have to point these things
Oh, well, you
out?
know, I just.
It doesn't
Found an
hurt to
error.
specify the page number. It's not, I don't know that it's necessary, but it won't hurt.
Okay. Yeah. I move well, that'll be for the approval. I move we waive 3 readings of 2025-32.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded, motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I move we approve ordinance 2025-32 and amend the ordinance on page 198 to match 2025-32.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any further discussion on that motion? Nathan, would you poll the council?
Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
Yes.
And that motion carries. This is a first reading introduction of ordinance 2025-31, Idaho Power Franchise Agreement. An ordinance in accordance with Idaho Code 50-328 and 50-329 and 50-329A, granting a franchise to Idaho Power Company Corporation and its successors, and assigns to construct, maintain, and operate in and upon the present and future streets, highways, and other public places within the corporate limits of the city of Kuna, Idaho, electric utility property and facilities for supplying electricity and electric service to the city, the inhabitants thereof, and others for a term of 10 years, including the non-exclusive right to physically locate and maintain telephone, cable, fiber optics, or other communication facilities, setting forth an agreement not to compete, reserving power of eminent domain, providing for the payment of franchise fees, and specifying other limitations, terms, and conditions governing the exercise of said franchise. So we're just going to do a first reading on that tonight, so no further action is needed.
Is this typical of other cities and throughout the state? They all have this same
I don't know, there's a, I think pretty much all cities have these.
Talking about franchise fee or franchise agreement? What was the question exactly? What part of having what?
With Idaho Power, is it just an exclusive, the non-exclusive right to physically locate, maintain a telephone, cable, fiber optics, other communication facilities, for basically not to compete for 10 years?
Okay, so yeah, Mark Bybee, city attorney. Yeah, franchise agreements for power in the state of Idaho are quite common. I think, if I remember right, I think Idaho Falls has its own power grid that it actually owns its infrastructure, but otherwise, most cities are contracted with a company. The majority down in southern Idaho are Idaho Power. I think up in North Idaho, they might actually be on some Washington-based company. But franchise agreements are very common because most Idaho cities just don't own their own power supply.
Councilman Biggs, Nathan Stanley, City Clerk, and we've been in a franchise agreement with Idaho Power for the last 10 years.
Right.
It's just coming up, expiring this November.
And I guess I've been in the tech world, and 10 years can be a long time in tech. Sometimes if there were another company that bought them out or something like that, then we would have to do a new agreement or something like that. Okay, just, that's all I was curious.
You about to sell power to somebody?
No, but I was talking about the
Councilman?
fiber optic and the the telephone, and that stuff, telephone and cable. I'm gonna have telephone cable in 10 years.
Yeah. That's great.
All right, anything further on that?
No, sir.
No, not on that. I'd actually like, before we do the executive session, ask the chief about the incident yesterday. If you keep their family, was it yesterday, in the creek?
Oh,
Oh,
the drowning,
Yeah, just keep that family in your prayers.
certainly. Yeah, that's very unfortunate. Fortunately, we haven't had, I can't remember the last time, I think I kind of do, but I don't remember how many years ago. It's been several years now since we've had a drowning there. That creek is just really unforgiving. Some of the most dangerous spots are the ones that look the most calm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rocks and sticks and other weird things down in underneath that create dangers there, and so, I don't know.
Mayor, can I say
Yes.
something? For the record, Mike Fertusco, City of Kuna. I would like to acknowledge some of the citizens that were out there were fantastic. I mean, we had people, what I'm being told is one gentleman opened his house to all first responders for tips for everybody, and he stepped aside and just stayed out in the driveway helping direct emergency responders to the location. I'm going to get his address and another gentleman's address so I can personally go thank them. But it was pretty amazing, the citizens that were out there and the compassion they had. So pretty proud of the community over there.
Good, yes, thank you for mentioning that. If nothing further, we do need to have an executive session, and
Who do we need?
we will, who all do we want for executive session?
I'm the one that asked for the executive session, so I'd like Nate to stay in. I'd like Doug to stay in. I don't know that anybody else needs to, unless if Jared wants to be. I'm not gonna kick him out, but. Okay.
I move we adjourn to executive session under 74-206 with City Council, Doug Hanson, the city clerk. That's, and our city treasurer.
Okay,
Second.
motion's made and seconded. Nathan, would you poll the council?
Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Laraway?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
Yes.
And that motion carries. And we will not be making any decisions, and when we come back out of executive session, we will conclude. So, thank you very much.